6:30 on the bus, and rock on with your bad selves.
Welcome to Washington, D.C. We're going to be checking out some amazing things. We're going to be able to see the Washington Monument and the Capitol building in the golden hour of
I'll be telling you
sunset.
more about all of this when you come back. I want to get you out there to see it. And the cicadas are already singing. They're very early this year. Usually they don't start really coming out until late July, but it's been so hot.
Oh. Hey everyone, you can hear the cicadas. It is absolutely beautiful, golden hour here in Washington, D.C. And this first installation, each column represents a new state and the states in the order that they came into the Union. Let's take a look. Oh, wow, this is amazing. And just to give us some context, so we have North Dakota, the beautiful, look at that gorgeous sunset. And you can hear the cicadas. A lot of places in the United States, from the Midwest to the South, you can hear those bugs and they stop. But if you are from the West Coast or from some other part in the world, you might not have ever heard them. They're very loud, and especially in the heat of the summer. Now, oh my God, this is beautiful. Look at this. The Washington Monument. I just found out that what we're looking at is an obelisk. And apparently, because Jefferson was a Mason, shout out to the Masons, love that whole Mason thing. I actually tried to become a Mason, they turned me down. Women cannot be Masons, by the way. Nope, not open to women. I got past it, a little bit disappointed. Anyway, because Jefferson was a Mason, he absolutely loved this obelisk. The origin of obelisks go back to their Egyptian funeral monuments. And that it's not exactly classical antiquity because obviously it's not a Greco-Roman of origin, but it was impressive to the Masons. And also, if you go to Italy, you'll find that Trajan, Emperor Trajan, and Marcus Aurelius, both originating from the 3rd century AD as Roman emperors, they have obelisks. So if you've been to Italy, you might have seen one. Shout out, hey everybody, I'm super excited. This is, just look at this sunset, you guys. Look at how gorgeous that is. And again, what we're looking at is an incredible, across from the Washington Monument, we have this incredible installation. This represents not all 50 states. This represents all the states up until 1945. So Alaska and Hawaii are not represented here, but the Philippines are. You might ask yourself, why the Philippines? Why in 1945 would the Philippines be involved? Because they saved our ass in World War II. We wouldn't be here without Philippines. Shout out to Filipinos. We wouldn't have a country without the Philippines. They were an integral part Of course, we helped them fight the Japanese in World War II, but now Philippines and Guam, for that matter, are both integral parts of our American identity and our homeland or international security. Okay, let's take a look at this. Oh man. Again, that is an Egyptian obelisk. You will see obelisks in Europe. Um, the, the Romans, like Jefferson, really had a thing for Egyptian obelisks. And in fact, the two that are in, I think there's also one in Paris, as a matter of fact. If you take that wonderful little boat cruise going from Notre Dame to the Eiffel Tower, you'll pass an obelisk, and that was brought from Egypt. But now back, let's take a look at these clouds. Just take a look at, and also the energy in the air. This is just 2 days before the 4th of July. Also this year is a special thing because this is going to be the 250th anniversary in 2026 of the United States. So this 4th of July really starts our year countdown to that incredible moment. I think it's such a great time to really appreciate our country. And I've been on a history tour for the last several days with a bunch of history teachers and, you know, grappling with a lot of complexities of our founding fathers with Jefferson, Madison, John Jay, Monroe, Washington, and of course the slavery that was still an integral part of the country during the founding period. But we strive to create a more perfect union every day, and we are striving to be a democracy rooted in our civil liberties, rooted in freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom to own guns, freedom to assemble, freedom to protest. But the people protesting in Los Angeles, please don't throw bricks through people's windows and destroy our city. That's not protesting, that's rioting. Maybe we can tone that down a little bit, that would be great. But freedom of speech all day long. So let's take one more look at this beautiful monument here. And let's see which one. We have North Dakota, we have Nebraska, West Virginia, Oregon. These are all the states, the 48 that were established in 1945, and including the Philippines. Also, let's take a quick look across the street, and as you can see, people are just all over. This is 8:30 at night. You can just tell the energy in the air. People are just super excited. Our tour bus has people from all over the country. And, oh gosh, I hope I don't lose which bus I just got off of. Ooh, okay, no, I think I found it. Okay, that must be our bus. Oh boy. I'm not positive what that is across the street. I was like, where is our bus?
Not Laverne High School.
That is not our bus. Okay, we're gonna go check out. I'm not sure if that is the side of the White House from a different perspective. We are going to see the White House later. I'm super excited. Super awesome. I'm going to find out. Guys, what's the building across the street? Did you know? Oh, what's the building across the street? Did you? Okay, we're going to put a question mark on that. I'm not totally positive what that one is. But let's take one more look at the Washington Memorial. Oh, man. I am so excited. Super excited to be here. Thanks, everyone, for joining in. This is my last night on Washington, D.C. I'm super excited. But stay tuned because next, in about a week, I'm going to be heading out to a totally different adventure, going to Yosemite and the Sequoia National Forest and Joshua Tree. So stick with me this summer as we explore the United States. And now we're going to listen to some commentary on the bus. Hopefully you'll be able to hear it. So let's go ahead and listen to what they have to say. Okay.
More power to Trey for the drive down here.
It's a fun
But you are much bigger than most, so I would be like, you want to get hit by my big bus, you better move here. Yeah, a lot of times boys win. You use the word I use, the kids use.
Okay, so I want us to listen to this commentary coming up on World War II, so hold tight. And hey everybody, thanks for joining in. Hi. I don't know how to. I want to put out a little thumbs up or some hearts, but I'm not sure how to do it.
There's one open, and I will maybe need something printed.
So let's take a look at what's going on outside as we get ready.
Yeah, that's why that's why I said it's the one that's really what matters, not necessarily. That's all I was concerned about was the photo circle as well. So, gosh, sorry about that. Volume control is sometimes shocking. When everybody else gets back, I'm going to tell you more about the memorial, but my policy is not to tell things before people come back. I try to be fair about that. But if you get on the bus and I'm talking, I will be talking about something else incidental. I do that on purpose to be fair to everyone, and so that basically everyone gets the same information. But early birds get worms too, right? You guys get back, you get to hear a little bit more. So one of the things that I used to love about coming to this memorial was when Senator Bob Dole was still alive. He would be out here towards the end of his life. He was in a wheelchair, and he would be out here in his wheelchair most Saturdays greeting other veterans. He was 17 or 18 years old when he was 17 when he went in, and 18 years old when he was grievously injured fighting in Italy during World War II. And he goes on for the rest of his life as an attorney and as a lawmaker to really focus on issues of the disabled and veterans because he had that firsthand experience himself. He was a very tireless advocate for both, and in a really key way was very bipartisan and worked a lot across the aisle to get things done. A lot of us who lived through that era of Congress are really lamenting the fact that that isn't how things are going right now. And the idea of bipartisanship has sort of become extinct practically. But when you look at his accomplishment here, the other person who was involved with this memorial was Senator Frank Lautenberg of Kansas, and of New Jersey, pardon me. Dole is of Kansas. And they partnered together, even though Lautenberg was a lifelong Democrat too, but they were both young men as World War II veterans, and then they came back and both started on these careers in public service. they were big champions of this memorial, and they are the ones who helped get it over the line. So it is a really important memorial. But in 1946, they said they they signed a resolution and passed the law that this would be created as a memorial. But it took in 1946, but it took until 2004 for this to get completed. And it's not because nobody wanted it to be done. It's that the process got hung up in several ways. The first way, of course, was simply deciding on the location. And sometimes location and design can take decades to resolve. And that's exactly what happened in this case. There were people who were very angry about placing the memorial here in between the Lincoln and the Washington Monument. But later it was so obvious that this was the perfect place to put this. Because this group of people, when they go off and help win this war, just are at the beginning of what their contribution is to the United States and to the world. When they were babies, and they were mostly babies when they were fighting, the average age of World War II vets fighting was 26 at the time. They were sent thousands of miles away in a time where very few of them flew. Most of them were on troop ships. And the troop ships were so crowded. You should go back and look at the pictures of the troop ships coming in. In some cases, almost standing room only on them as they are going and coming back. And it was a really unique window of time for us and for the world. And those guys and ladies stepped up in an enormous way for us and for the world. But then they come back and help build the United States we would recognize today. And that's why we call them the greatest generation, because their contribution is so outsized. But the thing about this generation is that they were really allergic to taking credit for anything. I think about my grandfather all the time, who was of this generation, and how he would respond to social media. And I know exactly what he would say. Girl, nobody cares what kind of cereal you're eating today. What they want to know is that you went out, you did something important, and you didn't toot your own horn about it. This generation deserves to toot their own horn forever. And it was the very last thing that they were willing to do. And I say were because most of them have left us. Their average age today is 102. But Trey and I will tell you that very luckily in this job, we get to meet living World War II veterans not infrequently. There are fewer than 90,000 of them alive, and we are losing them at a really fast clip. But the ones that are still capable of traveling and to talk to are extraordinary to talk to. And if you know someone who's still alive who fought in this war or even lived through this war, you should talk to them, because that eyewitness account could not be more important to understand. Now, when you look to our right, this body of water is called the tidal basin. That's not T-I-T-L-E, it's T-I-D-A-L. And it is why Washington, D.C. does not flood. I'm going to explain when we get to the other side of the basin how it all works. But you can see the Washington Monument here and the Jefferson. But one more thing about the World War II Memorial is that this year is the 80th anniversary of the end of that war. And that war has enormous lessons for us to learn today. Forgetting the lessons of World War II is we do very much at our peril. And as the philosopher Santayana once said, those who do not remember the past are condemned to repeat it. And World War II sets about our role as a superpower, but it also sets out the world's desire to step back from the potential of a war on the scale that this war was. Because World War II, by the end, kills nearly 85 million people. And 500 million, that is billion with a B, are left as orphans or refugees living in bombed out cities and countries nearly wiped off the map. So our role in the world and our stepping up as a contrast to the reality of many other nations in that period of time. And out of the ashes of terrible things, good things can come, but there is absolutely no more cataclysmic event in human history than World War II. When we come along here, you can see to the right that there is this view of the basin and the Jefferson Memorial. We do not stop at the Jefferson Memorial on the tour. The reason we don't is that it is really frustrating to walk it. But when we look through here, you can see how beautiful the basin is. And the reason the basin is here isn't because it's pretty, but happens to be pretty. What the basin does is essentially keep it from flooding, because before we had the basin, it would flood all the way to the south side of the White House. And remember where we were? All the way to that south side of the White House. So we had to figure out something. And that's what this whole chunk of land and what all of this is about. Now, I don't know why Home Slice is over here in our lane. That's a very, yes, there is a bus. He's feeling himself right now. He is younger than the average guy that I, but there is something that we call the weekend warrior bikers who wear the whole bike gear that are on their own personal Tour de France. So we're gonna pause. Can we pause for the picture? Sorry. So when you look, you can see that this memorial is really beautiful. And he is standing on the inside there with his back facing us. He faces the White House. So when you look at this, one thing I will tell you is that he is exactly the same size as the lady on top of the Capitol. So if you saw when we were going by how small the people are next to him, that gives you a much better sense of actually how big that is. Perspective and distance really lie to you sometimes, because he's exactly the same size as Freedom. Now, when you look at this memorial, it was built between 1938 and 1943. And when they completed it, they put in a plaster version of Mr. Jefferson because the war was still raging, and they didn't think it was appropriate to use the metal for anything but the war effort. But in 1946, they put this final bronze version in, and it is a really wonderful rendering. Now, it was hard to do a bad picture of Thomas Jefferson. I'm going to say something that might be slightly scandalous, but Thomas Jefferson was definitely one of the hottest of our founding fathers. And that is a funny thing to say. You hate him? No. 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 I'm talking about what he looked like. Okay. But then the other person who was also quite good looking was Alexander Hamilton.
Yeah. Oh, very Yes.
So one of the things that is true about these two gentlemen who had very big philosophical differences and everything else is that part of the reason why they were on each other's backs a lot is that they were jealous of each other. Think of them as mean girl founding fathers. And we tend to forget that we are talking about human beings with weaknesses and eccentricities and foibles and things that they like and things that they don't like. And Jefferson and Hamilton were really very different from one another in a lot of ways, not just how their lives start, but what they net out as the way to do things in this new country of ours. They were both equally committed to the idea of this nation, but what makes them sort of interesting to consider is that personal feelings about one another do enter into the picture. And we're not going to be able to do it now because he's taken the spot. Turkey. Unless he's turning. But is he turning? No, he could be doing anything, but he's going to be a turkey because he's not going to back up. And he is. Trey, do you think we can do it if we back up? All right. So we are going to have another little secret surprise, which is why I was fussing about this guy. Because you guys are going to get off in this lovely dusky light and take a picture of the tidal basin. What you're going to do is you're going to walk up on this bridge and see how there is the fence that's on this side and then the fence on the other. You're going down that little narrow walkway that's created there. Please do not try to cross the street. What you're doing is stepping off the bus here and going right up to the bridge and taking a picture and coming right back. I also want you to look for something else on the bridge. There's going to be a little alcove there, 2 alcoves with a body of a fish and the head of a man, little fountains. Take those pictures too, and I'll explain it all when you come back. Short, sweet, to the point photo op for the tidal basin.
Okay, Very good. Ow. Ow, 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 ow. Oh man, this is super cool. I hope you guys are enjoying this. If you come to Washington, D.C., I think this is the way to kind of get an overview of all the details and all the possibilities and things you might want to come back and visit. There is 9 Smithsonian museums to visit. The most incredible African American museum, Holocaust, Native American. It's just a very, very special part of the country that has quite a bit to offer, but it's not easy to get here. So hopefully we're going to enjoy together a little bit of, woo, wait till you see this. Oh, beautiful. And the Jefferson Monument. Oh, is that what we're supposed to take a picture of? Okay, let's see. There's some significance to this particular fountain. It's in kind of an alcove. We're going to hear more about it when we get on the bus. Let's see what else is here. What is that thing going through the water? I think that's a Loch Ness monster.
It's probably something cleaning it. I would not be surprised, like some sort of cleaning thing. Because that's what all this is. They're rebuilding the wall and everything.
That's a monster. Kidding. Okay. Wow, the Jefferson Memorial is starting to light up. It's so pretty. Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Are you aspiring to do this?
Did you get the fish? She's a
Yes,
preschool teacher.
there's another one there.
I mean, like, you go into the career.
We're gonna find out what this is about.
Early childhood. I'm debating becoming a history teacher or going.
This is super beautiful. My name is Sharon Fitzgerald. I'm a history teacher. I'm here with a group of history teachers. We have 50 of them. We're here with Founding Forward.
We don't have the Washington Monument.
Sophie Armor.
Oh no! What did I do? What in God's name? Why is this? Why? Why is